Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm going to present a short summary of the first half of chapter 1 of my book on Islamic economics. Islam places an extraordinary emphasis on knowledge. The Quran is full of exhortations to acquire knowledge, and so is the Hadith. Chapter 1 of the book begins with a discussion of epistemology because that's the first place where we see differences between capitalist theories of knowledge and Islamic theories. According to Western theories, the knowledge is mostly about the external world, and science is the only valid source of knowledge. Science is being a study of the external world. But Islam emphasizes the study of our internal world, which is related to the meaning of our lives and how we should spend our brief moments to make them the most valuable. So, section 1 of the book, Islamic Economics, the polar opposite of capitalist economics, begins with a discussion of epistemology or the theory of knowledge. And in particular, it discusses self knowledge. How do I learn about myself? And what others know, what others know about the world and about me. According to Western theories, all knowledge comes from observations and logic. But actually, in reality, we see that most of the knowledge that we have is received knowledge, knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation. And there is so much of it that it is not possible for any individual to examine and check it to see whether it is correct or not. So the received body of knowledge can and does often have major errors and flaws. So how can we liberate ourselves? How can we free ourselves from the misconceptions that we have absorbed through received knowledge? There are two strategies which are particularly effective. One is called the archaeology of knowledge, in which we study how this knowledge was created in its historical context. And the other is to examine alternative worldviews, other people's ways of looking at the world, which liberate us from the limited and narrow perspective that we might have inherited from our own tradition. Because we are attempting to liberate our minds from the hold of traditional ideas which have been implanted in our minds through Western education, it is best to use the technique of binary opposition instead of taking an idea and contrasting it with its polar opposite, rather than worrying about the complexity and diversity, which is not helpful in freeing our minds. So we start with a discussion of the archaeology of knowledge as it affects economics. So how is the knowledge of economics that we have today built up from the past historical events? What are the historical events and the struggles for power which shaped this knowledge? The Western epistemology considers knowledge as being either true or false, and it doesn't matter what the source or historical context of knowledge is. So this is a rather different perspective. Historical origins are not important from the Western epistemological perspective, but they matter a lot in deepening our insights and in giving us perspectives which are not available in the traditional way of thought. So, when we think about the history of emergence of economics, we find that in the 16th century, religion was central to both European and Islamic thought. And the scholastics built a theory of society which included economics, politics, and social institutions on the basis of the Bible. But there was 100 years of religious wars between Protestants and Catholics, which soured everybody on religion. And it was understood that religion cannot be used as a basis for building society because it leads to wars. And therefore, Europeans turned to alternatives. So, secular thought rejected religion as a basis for organizing society and attempted to find other principles. And in particular, one of the ideas was that religion said that we are all united in pursuit of a single goal, but this was replaced by the idea that society consists of different groups in struggle with each other, and the idea of politics is to make sure that groups can live together in peace. And in order to do this, freedom came to the fore. became very important. Every group had to have freedom to pursue their own goals. And in particular, wealth, which was considered to be a bad thing in Christianity, became a good thing because it provided each group with the means to pursue their own goals. Economic theory was also founded on this rejection of religion, which leads to emphasis on this worldly life, and it gives rise to individualism, selfishness. What do I care about other groups if they have different religions? And hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure in this world rather than search for success in the akhirah. So all these ideas are in dramatic contrast with the Muslim historical experience. Islam has had from the earliest days jihad as a form of worship, which means that the rules of fighting are clearly laid out with no harm to non-combatants and the environment, and a very advanced form of the Geneva Convention, which was only enacted very recently in the West. And since our belief is that God is the creator of the universe, we must live by his rules and we must strive for success in the akhirah. This leads to a radically different view of society, in particular justice, fairness, equity, social responsibility, looking for the common good of the society. These are all important goals in an Islamic society, which are very different from the goals of a capitalist and secular society. And so Islamic thought offers a integrated and coherent alternative which is based on radically different foundations. And this is the key foundation on which Islamic economic theory can be built. So the key takeaways from this are that the social sciences developed in Europe after the rejection of Christianity as a basis for organizing society. So in particular, it's important to realize that these are a religion. The social sciences are a religion which replaced Christianity. And these are lessons extracted from European historical experience as developed by European intellectuals. And the word science suggests that these are universal lessons applicable to all societies in all geographical environments and across all times. But this is emphatically not true. But it has deceived Muslim intellectuals into thinking that economic theory is universally applicable to all societies. And that has caused a lot of harm to the development of Islamic economics.